Welcome to This Week in Crowder College, an in-depth look into how Crowder College students, faculty, and staff are working together so students soar to new heights, communities are impacted, and lives are changed. This Week in Crowder College is sponsored by the law offices of Wood and Peterson in Neosho, specializing in workers' compensation, personal injury, Social Security disability, and more. Learn more online at neoshoattorney.com. Now here's this week's edition of This Week in Crowder College.
Welcome to a brand new week of This Week in Crowder College right here on 91.7 FM. Adam Winkler here with you, joined this week by Jorge Zapata. He is the Agriculture Division Chair, also an instructor out there at Crowder College. And Jorge, thanks for being with us.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
Well, you guys continue to stay busy, and you went on another travel seminar right after graduation, so tell us all about that.
You bet. Yeah, well, Aggies make some tracks, I'll tell you. We were just out in California 3 weeks ago for our national contest, drove out there, had a great trip out there, a little long travel, but got to see some country that we hadn't seen before. And many of those same students signed up for our travel seminar, and we went in the four-state area. We were stayed here in kind of local, but 2,700 miles worth of local between Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, a little bit of Texas, and back into Kansas and home.
Well, let us know all the adventures on the trip and what the students got to explore this time.
Oh, man. Each one of these things are always a surprise in diversity. I'm in awe of how much ag and how great of people are out there as far as in the ag world that just open their doors and say, come on, bring those students in. Because I think as soon as they hear, hey, we have 15 students that want to learn more about your industry, they automatically open their doors and say, absolutely. So we started out here in we went to Northwest Arkansas and started out here with University of Arkansas and their poultry division. They have such a strong program that really advocates for those students and plugging them into the poultry industry. And from there, we went over to the Tyson Discovery Center, where they do a lot of research and development in the poultry food side of things. And so from everything from protein development to ready to eat to storage and just all the things that happen from whether we're trying to make a better nugget or something that has, easier convenience for people. Super cool little area. And so from there we went off and we crossed the border back into Missouri and went into that southern part of towards the boot heel and into that timber area. And we learned just a bunch about the timber industry and the state forest out there, the State Forest Nursery. We went out down into Eminence and Alley Springs, and if you haven't been down that way, it's worth the trip. It is beautiful. They have done a great job of preserving that area. They have elk herds out there and wild horses and some beautiful springs and waterfalls. It is beautiful. If you haven't gotten out that way, definitely a big suggestion to do that. From there, we popped down into Jonesboro, Arkansas, and explored the peanuts that are grown in that area. Super interesting because we had been in the peanut farms out in Georgia before, and those peanuts out in Georgia apparently are grown for table peanuts, and the peanuts that are grown in Jonesboro are for candy. And so they have a different oil content, they have a different texture content, so they're used for like your M&Ms and Snickers and things like that. And then the peanuts out in Virginia are the ones that are used for peanut butter and peanut oil because of their different breeds and varieties of peanuts they have out there. Super interesting. The peanut industry is huge. And so you should see the size of these barns, like 185,000 square feet of barn space.
Wow.
To store the peanuts. I mean, they have pictures of their kids sledding down these peanut mountains. They're still in the hole, of course, but I mean, it's crazy how big that is. While we were in Arkansas, as we kind of went into the Delta area, we went to Eastside Rice, which was a receiving station for all the rice in that area. And they process thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of rice, of rough rice, as they call it. And they get it down to our clean, white, enriched rice that we have at our tables. Really fascinating, the machinery that they use to sort and to clean and to make sure that we have a clean food source through that rice industry. Just mind-blowing the amount of storage that they have to make sure that we have the supplies of rice. And that was just one place. then we were down over in sweet potatoes over in Wynne, Arkansas. We were in Wynne. And sweet potatoes, of course, they're these giant tubers. This is a super interesting fact that I didn't know, that the yams and sweet potatoes that you eat on Thanksgiving were actually last season's harvest from September, because they take a while to develop the sugar content that they want to make them sweet. So they store them in these giant crates and keep them cool, and so they're ripening, I guess, or they're collecting some sugar content, as you say. And then those are the sweet potatoes that we eat during Thanksgiving.
Wow. That's interesting right there.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And then that day we went craziness. We went to a fish farm that had 1,600 acres of ponds, and they grew like 9 different varieties of fish, from catfish to grass carp and trout and salmon, and just all kinds of fish that they use for stocking. And so the gentleman that owns that now, he's been he worked through the system there and was second in charge for 20 years. And so he was just a total great resource of information. I did not realize how much I didn't know about how the fish industry worked. But he provides fish for about 17 states for stocking. So that was really cool to learn about. Then we went over to Hot Springs and went to the racetrack over at Oaklawn to learn about how that works behind the scenes. The director of racing there, Ms. Hoyt, gave us a super tour, and everything from how the veterinarian checks work to day-to-day management of the horses and how the races are set up, and just there's a lot to the horse racing behind the scenes. We just think it's line them up and go, but no, there's so much more to that. And so that was really a great tour. And then we went and explored the hot springs and the history of the hot springs. If you haven't been down that way, I suggest it's a quick little trip, and super great area to see how they developed from Indian gathering place of that's a kind of a peace place, to in the 20s, 30s, and 40s were one of the largest attractions in the country. And so really beautiful architecture, and the way that those hot springs were developed into the bathhouses and things like that was great. And then we popped over to a quartz mine, which was really great, especially for our soil science kids that have studied it and seen it, and the layers and how our layers of our earth are formed. But we went to a crystal quartz mining mine and just saw some beautiful crystals that they have discovered. It's the largest, I think it's the third largest in the world, largest in the country for crystal quartz mining. And then so they let the people dig through their refuge, after they mine, and all the scoops that they take out. And so students got to dig around and find their own crystals. It was pretty cool. This kind of goes back to your childhood days when you dig around in the dirt looking for something.
And we're speaking with Jorge Zapata. He is the Agricultural Division Chair out there at Crowder College. He's also an instructor. He's telling us about the travel seminar they took recently after graduation, as they went to parts of Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. We're about halfway through that interview, and we'll have more with Jorge Zapata next week on This Week in Crowder College.
Thank you for listening to This Week in Crowder College. This Week in Crowder College is sponsored by the law offices of Wood and Peterson in Neosho. You can listen to this broadcast again by going online to kneo.org or to crowder.edu. Tune in once again next week for another edition of This Week in Crowder College on KNEO 91.7 FM.